just filmed the entire video and it wasn't focused. So now I gotta refilm the entire video, and I don't know if I can have the same exact kind of excitement that I had filming the first video, which always happens, no matter what. I get so excited and I like film and it's all perfect and great, and then it's not focused, and then the next part I'm just kind of like, I'm just so, We're gonna try this again. It'll be perfect, it'll be great, it'll be grand, it'll be better than the first one, and it'll be focused. Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be talking about my September book haul. Yeah, September. So I know this book haul should have been out kind of late September, but with everything that kind of happened around that time frame, it just didn't happen. And then I wanted to film my October TBR first, and now here we are in the middle of October, talking about the books I bought in September. So hopefully October's book haul will be a little better than that. Did I buy books yet? I haven't bought books yet. That's okay. That is A-okay. That's fine. It's grand. I'll find some way to make this work. Even though my wallet was just rejoicing because it just realized how little books I bought in September, and now it's crying because of the books I want to buy in October. That's fine. It's great. But before I get into more babbling and more, it's fine, it's great, it's good kind of scenarios, let's just get right into the book haul. So the first book on my book haul is It's Keeping You a Secret by Julie Ann Peters. I almost said Myers, but it's fine. So this is a book that I haven't heard too much about on the BookTube network or on Goodreads or in any kind of way, shape, or form. Not a lot of my bookish friends have read it or have talked about it, but I just kind of found this going through a secondhand bookstore a couple of weeks, like in the middle of September. I almost said October. That's okay. We're just gonna be confused. But I found this in the secondhand bookstore. Oh, excuse me. But I found this in the secondhand bookstore in the middle of September. There, that took a minute. But and it was a book that I just couldn't necessarily like put down. I saw it and was like, oh, it looks interesting. And then I kind of read like the first, I want to say like 2 pages of it, maybe the first chapter. Okay, maybe the first chapter, and not the first chapter, maybe like the first 2 pages. And it just seemed so interesting, and it seemed like such a like an interesting book to read because I haven't seen a lot of there's a lot of like male gay character come out books kind of a thing, but not a lot of female. And this one just looked so like interesting. Like it wasn't even the cover that pulled me into it. It was more so the book, like the book little blurb here and like the kind of the reviews. And it just seemed so, I just wanted to read it and see how it goes. And since it hasn't been heard of a ton in the BookTube sphere, I will be putting out a book review when I get a chance to read this, and I should be reading this sometime probably in the next month, hopefully. Alright, so the next book on this book haul is a book that everyone that I follow on BookTube kind of raves about, and there's a sequel out there, and I heard it's going to become a movie, so I'm just going to hop on this bandwagon before a friend of mine goes, I read the book, we're going to go watch it, and I'm going to be like, well, I haven't read the book, and I don't want to go see the movie until I've read the book, and they're going to glare at me. Because the last time that happened, that was The Fault in Our Stars, and my friends and I never got to see the movie because I hadn't read the book yet. Sorry, you guys. But that book is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's about this girl named Laura Jean, and she writes love letters to all the boys she's loved, if you can't tell by the title. And all of a sudden those letters end up getting out to her school, and she kind of has to deal with the aftermath of that, I believe. Yes. So you're suddenly Laura Jean's love life goes from imaginary to out of control, which sounds very dramatic and dun-dun-dun-ish. But everyone has said a ton of good about this. I haven't heard a ton about the sequel, but that's because I haven't read the first book, so I haven't anytime someone mentions the sequel, it kind of just glazes over my head because I haven't read the first book, so why would I pay attention to the sequel? But anyways, it's another book that I just saw sitting in the secondhand bookstore that I went to visit, and I was like, well, why not pick it up? Everyone seems to like it, and I could use some more contemporary reads in my little, I could use another notch of contemporary reads in my belt. And I'm really excited to kind of read it. It looks like from the cover, it looks like the main character is Asian. I'm not sure with like specifically what kind of Asian, but Asian, and we don't get a lot of Asians in YA. So I'm pretty excited for this, and hopefully the movie, if there is a movie, is gonna be just as good as the book, because good books become good movies. So the next book on this book haul is one of the books that I have on my TBR. So probably you already know what it is, or are guessing out of the 2 books. But that is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's kind of a future-y, like retelling of Cinderella with a cyborg. So I'm pretty stoked because everyone has really good things to say about the books, like the series and the books in general. And it's been like one of those books that has been on the back burner, and I just like see it in the store, and I'm like, I'll read it, I'll get a chance to it, and then other books kind of jump up there, or I'll like tell myself like, oh, it's just there, it'll be there when I come back, and then I tell myself I'm gonna get it, and then another book jumps out, and it's just... So yeah, I finally got this when I went to a secondhand bookstore and forced myself to buy this, and hopefully I'll get a chance to read it this month, and then have my thoughts for everyone to know. Hopefully. Who knows? But I'm really excited because it's like science fiction with Cinderella and fairy tales and cyborgs, and it's just like retellings of like probably some of my more favorite ones. So I'm really excited to read this book, and that just means I need to finish Dorian Gray, and I'm like almost there, so close to finishing it. But I just know what happens in the end, and I'm gonna stop babbling now and get back to the haul. So the next book on my haul is a book that I accidentally spoiled for myself, because as I was flipping through the back pages in my previous like recording of this video, I thought that it was going to tell me about the sequel, if there was a sequel, but instead I got to read the last page of the book. Good job. I'm sure editing Therese is probably glaring at her mini-me right now. But that book is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. It took me a second to remember. S.J. Jones, yes. And I haven't heard a ton about this. This was kind of a book that I saw while I was perusing the Goodreads in the middle of class. And please don't follow in my footsteps. Pay attention in class. Don't peruse Goodreads in class. Just don't do it. Pay attention. But it was while I was perusing Goodreads, and I saw like this book kind of popped out at me. Not only is like the cover so aesthetically pleasing, like it's a beautiful rose in a snow globe with snow falling around the snow globe, like how are you not? But I saw a couple of booktubers had it in their want to read, and I read some of the like less spoilery reviews, and they were like, it's like a fairy mix of like Hades and Persephone, and I was like, Hades and Persephone, Greek mythology, let's go! So when Barnes & Noble had their 20% off sale in September, plus my 10% discount because I'm a member, I was like, let's get on that shit because it's fairies. But for those of you who don't, why am I like this? But for those of you who don't know, I don't know too much about it, but it's basically this girl, her sister has been sacrificed to the Goblin King, and she travels into the underworld to save her sister, and dun dun dun. So hopefully we'll be able to see kind of what happens, and it sounds really good. And like for those of you who don't know, Greek mythology and fairies and mermaids, well, this doesn't have mermaids, but this is like a general thing, like mermaids and witches are kind of my shit. So I get that, like I will read it, you can tell me like, hey, this is a really shitty book about fairies, and I'll be like, okay, I'm buying it. And yeah, but I'm really excited to like read this book from the accidental like last page that I spoiled for myself. Again, good job, past me. Future me is glaring. It sounded really interesting, and the little blurb on the back sounds really good. And it, I tried not to get too much, like I didn't try to delve too deeply into the reviews in fear of a spoiler review. So I'm just kind of gonna go off of that, and maybe I'll get to this in like a couple of like months, like in November or Christmas, when like the weather and the mood matches the cover and the title. So the last book on this book haul is a book that is also on my TBR. For those of you who have not seen that, I'ma just shamelessly plug that in, go watch my TBR. But it's another book that I kind of binge read the previous 2 books, and then had a small mild panic attack going, oh no, I have to wait for the ending and it's not going to be great. And then I realized I read the books after the ending came out. So happy days. And this is another book that I picked up while I was in Barnes & Noble because I am a weakling and you give me a 20% discount at Barnes & Noble, and I'm like, alright, time to go, time to spend my money, because technically I'm saving like that extra 20 cents when I buy like 10 books. I'm so sorry, my wallet. But that book is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I almost said A Court of Mist and Ruin. That is not the book. That is not even a book. But for those of you who don't know, this is the exciting ending to the Court of Thorn and Roses trilogy, and I'm really excited to read it. I'm trying not to get into it like too much and like speed read through my books. So I'm kind of like holding this off until like a little more into like October, so I can get through some of my other books first. But before I get too far into my babbling, this book is, if you guys haven't heard of A Court of Thorns and Roses, that series is about Feyre, who kills a wolf. And that wolf turns out to be a fairy, and the fairy's boss comes and takes her away, and she gets to live in the spring court where it is eternally spring. And it's like a weird mix, like a weird Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like the characters are based off of Beauty and the Beast, and it's just so interesting to me. And again, there are fairies, so you see a pattern here where my weaknesses are. But I'm really excited to read this book. It's just, you have no idea my excitement, kind of like just looking at it, I just want to crack it open. You guys have no idea. I'm trying hard not to like start reading it in front of the camera. But I just kind of want to see where everyone ends up. I want to know where all the characters go and everything. And on top of that, I'm excited to read this and then give you guys kind of like my overarching thoughts on the entire series. And I don't know how exactly I'm going to be like breaking that up yet, but we will see. But yeah, so that's kind of my excitement on this, and I'm just really excited, you guys. Like, you have no idea. That is it for my September haul. Hopefully my October haul will be slightly bigger, like maybe like one more book, so it's a nice round number, because even numbers, ooh, yeah, it's a nice round number, because odd numbers are just. But that is it for my September haul, and hopefully I'll get a chance to get kind of through the books in my September TBR, October TBR, the spoopy TBR. And yeah, I also have another video planned, so next week hopefully I'll be posting a video about my spoopy recommendations, so keep an eye out for that. I'm kind of excited because I didn't realize I had so many like horror books in the back, like in my library. Well, it's not a ton of horror books, but it's still like enough to be able to make a list out of it. So hopefully I'll get to that next week. Other than that, if you guys have any more fairy, mermaid, witch recommendations that you want to destroy my wallet with, feel free to leave it in the comments. Tell me your thoughts on some slight thoughts on any of the books, or if you're kind of looking out for any of these books. If not, just hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.